Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another ship fitting guide for Eve Echoes. Today we're going to be looking at the Tech 6 missile sniper destroyers with a main focus on the Talwar Sniper. So we're going to be covering what are the sniper ships and what does the sniper mode do. We'll have a look at how to fit one of these things, including having a brief look at the Corax sniper, and then we'll finish off with a demonstration of this beastly little destroyer in action. Now, if you do enjoy this video, let me know by hitting like on it, subscribe to the channel for all things Eve Echoes, and ding that notification bell so that you know when the next video goes live. Let me know in the comment section below what ships you'd like to see me cover in future ship fitting videos. It does take me a bit of time to get hold of them and actually figure out what's going on with them, so please be patient. Finally, if you do want to go the extra mile to help support this channel, you can do so by joining me on Patreon. Details are on screen now. That said and done, let's jump in and talk about the Talwar Sniper. Now, when I talk about the Tech Level 6 missile sniper destroyers, I am of course referring to the Caldari State Corax Sniper and the Minmatar Republic Talwar Sniper. Now, if at the end of Advanced Tutorial 4 you chose either the Corax or the Talwar Trainer, then these are kind of the obvious progression further up the tree as you go. Let's start with the Talwar Sniper. So in the Minmatar Republic tree, into the destroyer branch, and as we start to climb here, you'll see that the Talwar there is on Tech Level 4, and you'll have had the Talwar Trainer hopefully, and maybe had a lot of fun using that, and once we hit Tech Level 6 we come across the Talwar Sniper. Now, I really like the Talwar hull. There's something certainly almost like a water beetle to this one, which if you followed my Instagram long enough and you've scrolled right the way back to the beginning, you'll know I'm pretty much a fan of bugs, which is probably why I like the Succubus and the Dramiel so much as well now that I think on it. But anyway, let's have a look at this thing's attributes and fittings. So, looking at its fitting profile here, you can see that it's got 4 high slots, 3 mid slots, 3 low slots, 2 power grid rigs, and 2 mechanical rigs. Its power grid output of 79 megawatts is kind of what you'd expect for a destroyer of this kind of size. It's good enough for what you need. Its defense, 3766, fairly standard again for a destroyer. It's not overly tanky, but it's not stupidly fragile either, weighted slightly more to shield than anything else. I think ultimately I would still shield tank this, but you're not going to go far wrong if you do end up armor tanking it. Might get a few funny looks, but let's be honest, on paper it works. As we scroll down a bit further, maximum lock targets of 7 is quite nice, and with a scan resolution of 727 and a sensor strength of 10, this does actually lock on surprisingly quickly. Makes it very, very useful for getting up close, getting into a situation where you can alpha strike someone quite nicely, and that is something we're going to talk about later. Finally there, the signature radius of 47.6 meters, it's worth noting that is actually fairly small for a destroyer. That's toward the smaller end of things. It's not as small as destroyers can go, but it's certainly nowhere near the largest, and does make the Talwar Sniper fairly tricky to lock onto and tricky to hit, especially if it's moving. Talking about moving though, the final point on this page just to draw attention to is that inertia modifier, 2.25 times. This is a fairly cumbersome ship. It does take a while to realign and turn to face a new direction. So if you're moving and you need to suddenly about face and get away, that's just worth bearing in mind. Now, if we look at the trait descriptions here, you'll see that as a Talwar, it does have that roll bonus of 25% missile torpedo velocity. That's something you should be familiar with if you went for the Talwar trainer after Advanced Tutorial 4, or if you just ended up with a Talwar at some point on the line either way. Looking at Advanced Small Missile Torpedo Upgrade, however, this gives you a bonus of 7.5% small missile torpedo damage, 37.5 if that's fully trained at level 5. Now, of course, that is Advanced Small Missile Torpedo Upgrade. You don't get bonuses for just the standard Small Missile Torpedo Upgrade. Looking a little bit further down as well, you do get bonuses for Advanced Destroyer Command of a Warp Drive Signature Radius penalty of -15% per level, which of course takes us up to 75 at full training, and a 7.5% increase to Stasis Webifier Optimal Range. Again, that's actually a really useful skill on this ship, as we'll come to later. But the Warp Drive Signature Radius just means that as you pull away in a situation, as you're micro warp driving in or out, you don't get such a big penalty to your ship's signature radius. Obviously, if you've got a micro warp drive in use, then your ship's signature radius does increase quite dramatically, which makes you easier to hit. In this case, if you've got Advanced Destroyer Command trained up, then you don't have as much of a signature radius penalty. Your signature radius isn't as huge, makes you harder to hit while you're moving away. Now, of course, that insinuates that kiting is the kind of thing that you might be interested in doing with a Talwar Sniper. And with a name like Sniper, well, you'd certainly expect that to be the case. So, what is Sniper Mode? Well, it's a special activatable mode unique to sniper-type ships. if you activate sniper mode, there's a 10-second cooldown before you can deactivate it, and again, if you deactivate it, there's a 10-second cooldown before you can reactivate it. And it gives you some positives and some negatives. The negatives are that your ship speed is reduced by 99%, meaning you are pretty much stuck still to the spot. I think the standard movement speed, if I recall on this, actually drops to 3 meters per second, which is pathetic. I shouldn't need to tell you. Then missile explosion velocity is reduced by 60%, and turret tracking speed is reduced by 60% as well, which means that any turrets or missiles that you have on this are going to struggle to hit fast-moving targets if you're in sniper mode. Finally then, the activation time of all your weapons is increased by 100%. It doubles the activation time. So if you were to activate, say, fire your torpedoes or missiles or whatever, once every 5 seconds, you'll only be firing once every 10 seconds. That, of course, is going to instantly halve your DPS in sniper mode. But there are some advantages to this. First of all, you have additional range. Now, if you activate this, you'll see that it will give drone control range of 75% and turret optimal and fall-off range both get increased by 100% as well, but quite frankly, we don't care about those. Obviously, with trait descriptions here with roll bonuses to missile and torpedo velocity and to small missile torpedo damage, it's obvious that missiles are what we're going to be fitting to this, and missile flight time is increased by 100% when you are under sniper mode, meaning if you have 25-kilometer range missiles, they're now going to be 50 kilometers. This is what makes the sniper so good at what it does. Finally as well, everything that hits with this does 50% increased damage. Now that does couple with that activation time bonus to somewhat reduce the effects of your DPS, but DPS isn't everything. Sure, if you were doing 100 DPS not in sniper mode, activating sniper mode means that you're going to go, rather than per second, it's per 2 seconds because you're doubling the activation time, but you are going to get the extra 50% on top of that. So from 150 damage per second, you'd go to 150 damage every 2 seconds, which then works out as 75 DPS. You see, there is a decrease there overall, but per shot, that is a large 50% increase. If you're only firing one shot, that is an overall damage increase of 50%. So if you and some mates all happen to rock up in a Talwar Sniper, activate that sniper mode for 50% DPS, all fire your missiles at one target instantly, you all do 50% damage, you can then deactivate sniper mode and run away. Great for that kind of alpha strike. But anyway, we're talking about sniper mode here, and we're talking about like how to actually use this. Let's have a look at how I'd fit it. Now, as you would expect from a ship with sniper in its name, range is king, so of course we're going to be showcasing a kiting fit. Now, when you fit for kiting, there is an order of priority of considerations. First and foremost, you need to be fitting for range. Range is the most important consideration when building for a kiting fit. The reason for that is ultimately, the further the range, the better the kite. Secondly, then, you do need to have a way to control that range. You need to be able to dictate the range of the fight to make sure that you are outranging and outpacing your opponent's guns effectively. Thirdly, then, comes damage. Damage isn't overly important in and of itself, but if you can do enough damage to kill a target before it reaches you, then of course the kiting build is successful. Fourth and finally then, at the bottom of the list of priorities, is your tank. Because if a kiting build is working properly, you should be outranging and outpacing your opponent's guns to the point that you're not taking any damage at all. So bear that in mind as we actually have a look at how I fit this. Now, first things first, before we go into why I fit these disciplined small missile launchers, I want to give a humongous shout out here to MaguraSa. Yes, it's a kill mail you can see on screen now. I was out prowling in my succubus and I found MaguraSa in his Talwar Sniper, helping a friend of his in a Caracal trainer doing an anomaly, and I did actually manage to take both of them out. MaguraSa did a little bit of damage to the succubus, I won't lie, but I did manage to take him out, so big thank you. These disciplined small missile launchers are the 4 that he had on his ship, now fitted to mine. But joking aside, he was such an excellent sport about it. We had a good giggle about it afterwards. As a thank you for that, I am going to be sending this Talwar Sniper to him at the end of this video. So MaguraSa, if you're watching, thank you for being such an excellent sport. I do hope you enjoy your ship. Anyway, so disciplined small missile launches. Now the reason we've gone for these is because range is king. These are the longest range small missile launches that we can get hold of. 27.46 kilometers is a decent bit of range, and of course if I activate sniper mode and get that additional 100% missile flight time, that actually shoots up to over 54 kilometers, which is a very, very good range for kiting. Damage-wise as well, these are not to be snubbed at. 43.46 DPS with 134 damage across the board on all 4 types. That also means, of course, this isn't being missiles. These are excellent, whether they are against shields or against armor. And with that 50% increase to flat damage, if you and your mates are in a gang of these things, you lock onto someone, you activate sniper mode, and you fire like a volley of these in one go, that is a lot of extra damage. Now, of course, the secondary consideration, as I said, when fitting for kiting, is in range control. Now, for the Talwar Sniper here, I've gone for a dealer small micro warp drive. The reason for a micro warp drive is because I can be sitting at the 54 kilometer mark, sniping away. When suddenly the enemy ship happens to get a little bit close, I can deactivate the sniper mode to give me my movement speed back, activate the micro warp drive, and jet all the way back to that 54 kilometers in a matter of seconds. Ultimately, we don't care too much about that signature radius adjustment of 461% for 2 reasons. One, we should be outranging their guns anyway. By the time they're getting close enough to hit us, we're jetting away and getting back out of that range. Secondarily, if you are training into advanced destroyer command here, you get a 15% reduction to warp drive signature radius penalty per level. That is a 75% reduction if you've got that trained at 5, meaning that 461% is actually only, quick bit of maths here, about 110%, 115%, which isn't huge. It allows you to move away nice and quickly without getting hit. Still on the subject of range control, the mid-slots here are Mark V Stasis Webifiers, which again, that Advanced Destroyer Command would give a 7.5% increase to their range. I haven't got Advanced Destroyer Command trained, which is why mine still only show at 11.2 kilometers. But the reason I've gone for these still is if anything happens to get to that 11 kilometer range, I can activate those 3, hold it in position whilst I activate the sniper and GTFO, or if I think I can actually kill it in time, I can just lock that right down. I mean, heck, that's about, what, 12.5% movement speed at that point. At that point, it's barely moving at all. My missiles are going to be doing maximum application damage against them. Hopefully I can kill that target before it actually manages to do any real damage. Now, the third consideration was, of course, damage. Damage here, I've gone for a full duplex ballistic control system. This is kind of like a gyro stabilizer or a heatsink. It's a flat-up weapon upgrade. The idea here is that fitting one of these increases the damage of all the missiles on this ship when it's cold, and I can activate it for an even bigger boost. If I really need to hit something, again, me and my 4 mates pull up in our Talwar Snipers, we lock onto a target, we activate sniper mode, we all pop our duplex ballistic control system, and we launch that first volley, and the sheer alpha damage that that can do, I'm sure you can understand at this point, is insane. Now, the third mid-slot here, I have gone for a Settler small shield booster. But hang on, Benzie, didn't you say that tank was the 4th and final consideration? Why even bother? Couldn't you have just put another ballistic control system on there? Well, yes, and I'm going to showcase that in a minute. The reason I've gone for a small shield booster here is because, one, I get a little bit antsy sometimes if I don't have one, because I operate in Nullsec and Lowsec. And there, yeah, sure, I can see that there's 4 enemies on grid, 4 rats on grid that I'm going to be shooting at in this build, but I can't guarantee that I'm going to stay alone in that anomaly. Anyone could turn up at any time because I am in a PvP enabled zone. So I need something like a shield booster that I can top up any damage whilst I get out of there as quickly as possible should someone else jump in at a much shorter range. It just gives me those few extra seconds to survive, or if I goof up with my positioning, I can boost up my shields and repair any damage that I've taken incidentally. Now, yes, of course, you could go for another ballistic control computer there. Again, bam, there we go. That would take us up to 183.87 DPS cold, and then even higher, hot. But we have no tank now, meaning any damage I take is permanent. So I am going to actually swap. I don't know why I left the duplex. Let's put the Settler back on here. We will leave that Republic Fleet ballistic control right there. Now for rigs, ultimately rigs, you can kind of go one of 2 different ways here. I've personally gone for Warhead Heating Catalyst Prototype, 7.5% damage bonus. Then on the lower one here, a hydraulic bay thruster prototype, flight velocity adjustment just for that little bit of extra range. Again, MaguraSa, I do apologise, obviously as these are prototypes, I am going to have to destroy these before I send. But ultimately the purpose there is we've got a little bit of range thanks to the hydraulic bay thrusters, and we've got extra damage thanks to the warhead heating catalyst. Ultimately, if you're going for a PvP fit with a gang build, as I said, this whole you rock up, fire one volley kind of thing, then you're just going to want to put in whichever damage rigs you can. Forget the fact that there's a penalty for fitting multiple of them, just fit multiple. If, like me, you're using this for PvE as well, I would recommend the second one being that extra flight velocity. Obviously, the prototypes are great because they're free, but if you're going to be using this ship consistently, it's worth going up to the real, in inverted commas, the real rigs. Now, in the mechanical rigs, I've gone for a targeting system subcontroller, just so that I can lock onto things that little bit faster. Very useful if I am going on a PvP gank with this thing, just because it gives me that brief second to lock on before the enemy warps out. And then finally, an auxiliary thruster prototype, because if I'm going to be kiting and getting away, this is just a brief bit of additional range control. It means that I'm going to be boosting that little bit faster and getting that maximum range, which can be a difference between life and death, or just a little bit faster at reaching that maximum range. Now, before we showcase the Talwar Sniper in action, of course I said I would have a look at its sister ship in the Caldari state tree, which is of course the Corax Sniper. So let's have a look at that one here. Now, the Corax Sniper is a very similar ship in most aspects, however appearance obviously is not one of them. The Corax Sniper though, I have to admit, I love the Viking longboat style aesthetic to this thing. That's a really cool looking ship, and I do like that dark grey and orange coloration as well. Anyway though, looking at its actual fitting grid here, you can see 43322, exactly the same as the Talwar Sniper. Power grid output's pretty much identical. Defense, however, is where things start to change a little bit. Whereas the Talwar Sniper is a little bit more balanced between its shield and its armour, you can kind of tank it either way. Here you can see that the Corax Sniper is most definitely a shield tank. 1348 on the shield, down to a 910 on the armour. Much smaller armour than it has on shields. Now, things do change quite a bit as you come down here as well. Signature radius. The Corax Sniper is a considerably larger ship at 60.7 meters. Its signature radius makes it much easier to lock onto and to hit than the Talwar. The Talwar is that little bit faster as well in its flight velocity, and notably the scan resolution as well on the Corax Sniper is quite a little bit lower. It doesn't lock on as fast. It is slightly nimbler though in regards to its inertia modifier. It can turn that little bit faster, but that's really about it. However, the trait description does showcase a couple of other changes. Same roll bonus, perhaps, as the Corax, as the Talwar Sniper, but the advanced small missile torpedo upgrade bonus also includes a 10% increase to small missile torpedo explosion velocity, which means this is arguably slightly better against faster moving targets, especially when you go into sniper mode and you get that 60% reduction to your missile explosion velocity. If you've got advanced small missile torpedo upgrade to 5, you mitigate a lot of that decrease. Not all of it by any stretch, but you do mitigate it a little bit, meaning that the Corax Sniper is arguably that little bit better at dealing with clouds of frigates and destroyers that happen to be coming your way. And if you're up against a drone sniper, then yeah, the Corax Sniper is more able to take out those annoying pesky drones. But that's really kind of it otherwise. There's not much in it, but ultimately, and on paper at least, I would suggest that the Talwar Sniper is the better of the two ships. It's more versatile, it's probably a little bit easier to use. The only advantage that the Corax Sniper has is against those smaller ships, and quite frankly, the Talwar Sniper does just fine against those, thank you very much. Now, as with any kiting build, we don't want to warp in at 0. We're going to warp in around the 50 to 60 kilometer mark, because that's where we know we're going to be most effective. So here we go. Turn around slowly and steadily with the Talwar, and up we go into mining area safety concerned advanced. Anyway, into the combat anomaly we go. We'll zoom out a little bit so we can properly showcase this. Yeah, I know it looks a little bit like spreadsheets in space when we do this, but you know what? It's how you play the game. I'm not going to sit here and showcase absolutely every individual ship up close and personal. Anyway, so here we are in the combat zone now. We can lock onto anything, and you can see how quickly this thing locks on. Activate sniper mode so that we're nice and ready. Pick our first target, which does appear as if it's going to be the Gisty Thrasher over this side, but it might be the Gisty Burst. With sniper mode active, you can see that our missiles are now at 53.01 kilometers, not to be sniffed at. So, we wait until that Gisty Thrasher comes into range, activate the computer, send off our first volley. Now remember, 50% damage increase on that volley, but as you can see, the activation time between volleys is now absolutely massive. Oh boy, yeah. Nice slow length. And there's also a bug at the moment, it seems, with missiles where they just seem to disappear and do nothing. That Thrasher is definitely in range, but the missiles haven't actually hit. Hopefully, this second volley will. There we are, 11,000 damage, sorry, 1,100 damage in one hit. That's quite a pounding onto that Gisty Thrasher's head that's just taken. I am watching that burst. That burst is getting a little bit close. We may have to switch target, and if that hits sort of about the 20 kilometer, I will actually come out of sniper mode, activate my micro warp drive, and take a little bit of distance from that. Taking a touch of damage as well. Again, oh, there we go. Massive hit on the Gisty Thrasher. Yep, we now have the burst is approaching a little bit too far, so let's get a 55 kilometer lead away from that. We're going to activate the shield booster just for a little bit of time, just to patch up the small amount of damage that my shields have taken so far. And we'll move away from that Gisty burst. 27, 28, 29, 30... away we go. Just get some range between us and that. I don't really want it getting too close, otherwise it's going to start doing more damage, and it's not really kiting if you let the enemy get up close and personal now, is it? Anyway, there we are. So we can deactivate the micro warp drive, because obviously it'll finish its cycle anyway. Turn off the shield booster as well. Add on the sniper mode. Now this time we're going to focus on the Gisty burst, because that's the only one that's in range. So again, activate the computer and send in the missiles when it activates. It's the wonderful thing about me being out at a fishing camp at the moment. I do have I'm on H+. If I swipe down at the top, I normally don't like doing that. I'm on H+ playing this at the moment, folks. Cut me some slack. But again, you'll see that as that Gisty burst is getting close, in go those missiles and just absolutely whack it. In it comes, next round, next volley, off it goes. Bye-bye Gisty burst. Boom. Gisty Thrasher time now. It's going to zoom back to the Talwar in a sec. Eventually. There we are. Across to the Gisty Thrasher. Interesting, these ones as well. The pirate ones are a rather unique skin. You can see that it's like a greyish silver colour. We don't have that in the game at all for anything. It's kind of similar to the Thrasher 2, but who knows? Maybe one day we'll have the pirate skins attached as something that we can use on our own ones. Yay! More Thrasher skins. Wouldn't that be something? Anyway, 44 kilometers. We're still quite comfortable here. In goes the next volley in a few seconds' time. And that should be that Thrasher done. You can see I'm barely taking any damage whatsoever. It's a nice, relaxed way of doing things, this kiting. There goes that volley. Is that going to be enough? Yes, it is. Onto the stabber, and on we go. And ultimately, this is it. This is sniping. This is how to use a missile sniper. And you can see the sheer amount of damage that these missiles are doing on each of those activations. Let's pop on the missile system. We can activate it early, because even if I do it right at the perfect time, I still only get one cycle. Watch how much damage this actually does to the Gistum stabber. It's an insane amount thanks to that 50% damage bonus. That means that ultimately, again, imagine 4 of your mates and you in one of these. 5 times that in one hit. You'll take out most battle cruisers instantly. These things can be scary in PvP. And the range they can do, not bad at all either. I imagine a lot of the gate camps around at the moment are probably using sniper ships like this for that exact purpose. High alpha strike. They're going to sit there, have someone in like a Venture 2 lock onto you, lock you down, and then they're going to fire with those missiles and just do a nice big hefty alpha strike of damage onto you before you can get away. That's the aim. That's the aim. And it works really well here in PvE as well, as you can see. Decent amount of damage to each of those ships that I'm hitting. Oh, I don't even care that it's only at 28 kilometers and I theoretically should be moving back at this point because that's getting a little bit close. I'm going to kill it in the next hit. Anyway, folks, that wraps up everything that I wanted to say about the Talwar Sniper, everything that I really need to say about the missile sniper ships. In fairness, these are excellent. excellent destroyers that are a lot of fun to use, very interesting playstyle, very different to anything else available in the game, well worth having a look at in my opinion. Give them a try, let me know what you think. Are you using a Talwar Sniper or a Corax Sniper already? How are you finding it? What's your best kill with it? Have you done some really high level missions? Let us all know in the comment section below. I mean, I'm sure as far as some of you are concerned, my fitting is completely off anyway, but you guys are usually pretty good at letting me know all that. So anyway folks, thank you ever so much for watching, happy sailing, and see you in New Eden!